Welcome to Roast the Post. Today we will listen to people answer the question, people of Reddit, have you ever dated a celebrity? If so, how did it go? What's your story?
My cousin dated Chris Pratt right after high school. She said they never slept together though because he was too sweaty. She didn't say it, but I think she's the reason he went to Hawaii.
Actually, Chris Pratt went to Hawaii to get away from your cousin. Cheese curd communism for 4,000 points comes to us with, so take this as you will. But a really good friend of mine in college told me she had a date with Jamie Foxx. A date in the sense that they got drinks and had sex. She said he was super nice, but extremely pompous. She said that during he would say stuff like, say you want to suck Jamie Foxx's Cheeto, and would refer to himself in the third person. Uh-oh, looks like we got an edit. So, before this blows up, I want to reiterate the fact that Jamie Foxx was extremely nice. And she didn't do anything she didn't want to. My mom went on a date with Ted Bundy. Wow, okay. That had to be thrilling. When he lived in Utah for a while in the 70s. Punch You in Your Mouth comes in red hot, telling us, my aunt was asked by Ted Bundy to go on a cross-country road trip in his van. She said he was very charming, and she would have gone, but my grandparents wouldn't let her because they still wanted her alive, so they were very strict, thankfully. And this was in Tennessee. Way-ho comes in to share with us this one. Not really dating, but hooked up with Steven Glover, aka Steve-O from Jackass, for a while when Jackass was first starting. I know it's gross, okay? He didn't really have any money then, and he was in between Florida and LA and needed a place to stay from time to time. He was very full of himself, and we stopped talking after he threw a chair out of my kitchen window. Good to see that he cleaned himself up though. I find it funny that this girl was shocked that Steve-O on drugs broke some of her furniture. Who could have ever guessed that this guy would do such a thing?
Rent. Like that. That was a rental.
Satan's first wife writes, my brother briefly dated or hung around with Hayden Panettiere right after her first Disney movie came out, Tiger Cruise, starring Tiger Woods and Tom Cruise. It was one of my favorites at the time, before Heroes or anything. Apparently, she had family that had a lake house in our hometown, and they met at a party and started to hang out when she would visit her family. She even came to the Strawberry Festival with me and my brother. Mind you, I'm 10 years younger, so I was like 7 or 8 at the time, and was really nice to me because I was so awestruck to be meeting a Disney actress. She even made a do-it-yourself candle with me at a festival booth that I kept for years afterward. Nicest girl he ever introduced me to, second only to his later fiancé. I'm sure she's happy to hear that story. I dated Kristen Bell in high school. Her mom still tells me she wanted to marry me back then. She was super funny and basically looked the same as she does now. She doesn't seem to age. She broke up with me on New Year's Eve, then hooked up with some dude that night. Allegedly, for sure. No hard feelings, we were friends after, and I'm super happy for her success without me. My sister also dated Elijah Woods when she was in middle school and freshman year. She doesn't really seem to like to talk about him much except for when she's drunk. She says all they ever really did was ice skate and hold hands, which is the most Elijah Woods thing I have ever read. No one ever believes me, but I very briefly dated Monica Lewinsky. I was much more into her than she into me. So much like Bill Clinton,
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
I thought she was amazingly intelligent, and I think people who slag her off are really being hypocritical and sexist. Just Sean is just saying. One of my best friends dated Miley Cyrus, then Destiny Cyrus, back in middle school. We all went to the same elementary school, then started middle school together. Mind you, this is all before Hannah Montana was created. Back then, her and her brother, Trey Cyrus of Metro Station fame, were just Billy Ray Cyrus's kids, which didn't mean much to us. To us back then. Doesn't seem like you guys made it to high school, but anyway. They dated for all of 6th grade year until they moved to Toronto, I believe, to start pre-production on a Disney show, which we would later find out to be Hannah Montana. He wasn't too beat up about it, as he described her as being kinda crazy. One story I remember is that after a mutual friend of theirs was broken up with by her boyfriend, Miley tried to get my friend to make out with her to cheer her up, which he refused to do. Also, after the show came out and her face was all over Tiger Be's 17 magazine, we would rip out the pictures of her, cut a hole in the mouth, hold them up to our face, and chase them around saying, "I miss you, Kevin Ball. Come to Hollywood and be with me." We probably could have been a little nicer about it. Dating Hannah Montana should have made this guy the coolest kid in middle school. I don't know why his friends were making fun of him. It's not like he dated Miley Cyrus when she did this. My sister met Michael Vick at a club in Charlotte, North Carolina. His bodyguard actually chased after her as she and a friend were leaving to give her Vick's phone number. He took her out twice. Then she learned from a magazine that he was engaged, though he swore he wasn't marrying that girl. He did. On the 3rd and final date, she found medication for herpes in his bathroom. After that, she ended a budding affair, and hopefully, that was a lesson learned. She was lucky not to get herpes from that jerk the way that a couple other unlucky women did. That's a good piece of information to know right there. Don't sleep with Michael Vick unless you want herpes, and never let him babysit your dog. Papa Molly tells us, my aunt got asked out on a date by, of all people, O.J. Simpson. My grandfather was a very racist man at the time, and he put a stop to it. And having a racist dad for your aunt actually worked out for her on this one. That's not something I ever expected to write down. Alex Munsey tells us, my high school English teacher went to high school with Bill Nye. He asked her to prom and she turned him down because he was a nerd. I hated that teacher. Well, good. Being a nerd is way cooler than being that teacher. My grandmother banged Frank Sinatra in her early years. I love that this story was told to the grandkids. Ooh, Super Deluxe coming on in. Wonder how you got that name. Anyway, she tells us,
I went on a date with Hannibal Buress. He was in my city briefly after doing a benefit gig elsewhere a few years ago, and we matched on Tinder, met up for a drink before his flight left later that evening. He's a cool dude, and I had fun. Did not have sex. Liar. Sorry to disappoint. Apparently, he's pretty notorious for being on Tinder, so I feel like a lot of people probably have a similar story.
A good friend of mine had a relationship ended when his girlfriend called and rather bluntly stated that she was going to spend the night in Pauly Shore's The Weasel's hotel room instead of back at the dorms. I bought him Biodome for his birthday. He was not amused. Being cuckolded by Pauly Shore is possibly the most infuriating thing I can imagine. Cheers Drive 420 tells us, yeah, so I was seeing Hannah Murray from Gilly, Game of Thrones, Cassie, Skins for a while, about 10 years or so ago, just when the season of Skins came out. Turns out a girl I worked with knew her. I fancied her, and so we orchestrated a meeting between us. She organized a coffee with her, and I just so happened to stumble into the cafe. We hit it off, and we ended up having, a little thing for 5 months or so. We went to the cinema, ate and drank. She's highly intelligent, very perceptive, and really quite funny, unlike me. I was young and rubbish at dating, and I'm guessing she wasn't too experienced either. In the end, she called me one day after a week of silence and dumped me because she was going to uni. Fair enough. I'm super happy for her and think she's a great actress. Thanks for watching another edition of Roast the Post. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more. Have you or someone you know ever dated a celebrity? Tell us about it in the comments below.